waiting room. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for EXIM 101. We're very lucky and pleased to have Christopher McLean joining us from EXIM Bank for this introductory session on EXIM products. Yeah, let's see if I can advance my slides. I'm Lori Piper. I'm the Assistant Director for Global Resources with the Kansas Department of Commerce. I'm also on the Board of Governors of NASBITE International. The International Division at Kansas Department of Commerce is part of EXIM Bank's REP program, Regional Export Promotion Program partner. And we are also a partner of NASBITE International for education, development, and delivery. So here's some information about us in the International Division at Kansas Department of Commerce and Global Resources. And I'd also like to do an introduction to NASBITE. For those of you who are joining us for the first time for a NASBITE event and maybe are not familiar with us, NASBITE International is a nonprofit organization for people involved in international trade. So they can be international trade specialists, service providers, educators, companies involved in trade. So we are the leading authority in industry standard for international business education and trade credentialing. NASBITE administers the Certified Global Business Professional credential, and it's really a great group of people to interact with, connect with, learn from, a really strong community of people involved in international trade. Uh, Upcoming, we have a number of webinars offered through NASBITE and our resource partners. So you can find these on the NASBITE website under our webinar series. We have several more this week and a number coming up also in February and early March. So we look forward to seeing you at the webinars and hope that you will share the information. I also want to put a plug in for our annual training forum taking place in St. Louis at the end of March into early April. This is a wonderful opportunity to attend training sessions, do networking, and meet with the presenters and resources. And so with that introduction, I would now like to turn things over to Christopher McLean, whom I've had the pleasure of working with through REP, and would like to thank Christopher for offering this webinar today. So Chris, I'm going to stop sharing and turn everything over to you.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris McLean. I'm a business development specialist here at the Export-Import Bank of the United States. Particularly this session is titled Unlocking Opportunities with Export Credit Solutions. I sit within the Emerging Exporter Business Development Division, so we help businesses with kind of tailored service to ensure that they can navigate the trade process smoothly and effectively. So let's get into it, and I'll explain a little bit about who we are. So who we are, EXIM is a U.S. federal government agency. We were established in 1934. We have a headquarters in Washington, D.C. with regional offices all over the country. Our mission is to facilitate U.S. jobs by promoting export growth. We fill in the gap for the private sector and complement their financing, and we also level the playing field for companies who are selling globally. One thing that you should know is that only 5% of the world's buying power is inside the United States. So conversely, that means that 95% of the world's purchasing power is outside. And if you're not exporting or doing international trade, you're actually leaving money on the table. International trade makes companies more profitable. And if you have a business or a diaspora connection or a language connection somewhere to a different country, you already have a leg up in doing international business that way. But really, 1% of companies actually currently export. And why is that? Really, it's the fear of risk. And what is that risk? Imagine a scenario where you have a new customer that's overseas somewhere, but the questions remain for you is that, will they pay you? What happens if they don't? And, imagining how to recover from that type of loss. That's where we step in. As I mentioned, we do all the things. We minimize that risk of non-payment by leveling the playing field for you and also supplementing commercial financing. And I want to emphasize that no company or transaction is too small for us. We do sales of only just a few $1,000s and up. And so everybody can get involved with us, not just big corporate players, but small businesses as well. Our products, what we have to offer, cover the gambit from pre-export financing as well as post-export financing. So we have things like our working capital loan guarantee and our Make More in America initiative on the pre-export financing side. And also on the post-exporting side, we have our export credit insurance, our guarantees, and also our direct loans. So a little bit of a deep dive into the working capital loan guarantee. How does it essentially work? It allows you to pay for materials, equipment, supplies, labor, whatever it takes for you to fulfill your exports if you have a purchasing order or a contract, whatever it takes to go into those. We guarantee your lender up to 90% of the payment for that loan. And also, when you have that guarantee with us, it offers more attractive advance rates than conventional financing. How does it work? Walking you through the process. Initially you'll start out with a purchase order or a contract that you have from a buyer. You'll go to your bank and say, let's say for instance you make watches. You need the metal, you need the springs, you need all the different materials that go into that. And you go to your bank and say, I need $1 million in order to put all that together and make it go. But your bank might look and say, oh, well, because it's a foreign receivable, we're not sure that either, it could be a risky market that we feel uncomfortable lending in, or two, this notion of non-payment. If you don't get paid, how are we going to get our money paid back? And so your bank might initially deny you the loan that you're looking for to fulfill your export order. So that's where we come in. We guarantee your bank up to 90% of that transaction, so they feel more comfortable releasing those funds and you have that access to capital. We have a network of what's called our delegated authority lenders, who are basically banks that are pre-approved and established working with us in order to fulfill those export financing solutions that you need. Ultimately, it allows you to have that access to capital in fulfilling those export orders. Next, we have our export credit insurance. It's our main product that protects you against non-payment of your customers, whether that be from commercial or political risk. It's also a sales tool, which is a really great thing about it. So if you are looking to sell on 30, 60, 90, even up to 360-day terms, this allows you to offer those to your customers. And because you're a little bit more flexible, it offers you a competitive edge over other businesses that are in your industry. How does it work? Again, you identify somebody that you're selling to overseas. You guys kind of come to an arrangement on credit terms, and the buyer accepts those credit terms. And then from that point forward, you take out insurance policy with us. And once you ship the product, you notify us and let us know. But if they pay you, great. No further action needed. But if they don't, you report that to us. And then we cover that transaction up to 95%, should that be necessary for you. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our newest insurance policy. It's called Direct Express Select. Direct Express Select, we're really trying to bring on the underserved business community. It's an easy on-ramp to get those who are non-traditional exporters, who are, getting their first exports in and having that easy on-ramp into the international trade space. It's similar in all the ways in terms of, offering credit terms, 30, 60, 90, 120 days, whatever you need in order to cover the credit account for your customer. But one thing that makes it unique is that, there's no deductible, there's no application fee or policy issuance fee for this policy. And also it has a dedicated in-house servicing team to help you navigate through all the challenges of your first exports as you're getting started into that space. I'd also like to talk more about one of our wider programs, which is the Make More in America initiative. So this is for onshoring, essentially manufacturing onshoring as you need it. Essentially, if you're working on a project, we finance those projects that help you bring jobs back into the United States. And with that, if there's a 15%, well, if they're a big business, 25%, but if they're a smaller business, we can reduce that up to 15% export nexus, meaning that those whatever you make out of that center that you're financing the project for, 15% of those have to be sent overseas in the sales. Essentially, what we do is we finance those projects and make sure that you can do everything from purchasing, acquisition of land, the different expansions necessary for your project, and all the things in that nature there. One thing about that as well, um, most of our products have a U.S. content requirement, and with the Make More in America initiative, if you are eligible, we are walk open to relaxing that 51% or more U.S. content standard for those type of projects. When it comes to our export credit insurance, what is covered? We cover commercial risk, and on that side, there's things such as insolvency, bankruptcy, protracted defaults. And on the other side, political risk, those things such as war, revolution, or insurgency, or currency transfer risk. What that means, if you're a customer, if you're dealing with somebody in a market that says, I can't get my money out of the country, and I'm having a difficult time, paying you because of that restriction, or other things like cancellations of import or export licenses. We cover that in terms of our commercial and political risks. Um, One thing that is not covered, one thing I want to emphasize, that disputes with the buyer are not covered. So if you're buying, or if you're sending a car in red and they wanted it in blue, that's a commercial dispute. We don't get involved in that way. But one thing I also want to highlight is that we are industry agnostic. We cover every industry from manufacturing, everything from mining, oil and gas, aviation, renewable energy. But I want to also touch on services. Services is, a very fast growing export lane here, and we want to talk and make sure that people know that services are covered in terms of what we cover with our insurance policies. Another thing I want to touch on is what's called our country limitation schedule. So EXIM Bank has this. It's a list of over 180 countries that list where we're open for cover, meaning where we're open to support you with our financial products. I like to think of this as a tool in which allows you to really tailor and intentionally orient your time with EXIM Bank so that you know when you're stepping into a country or a different market that you want to do sales in, that we'll be able to be behind you every step of the way in that process. Few restrictions that I want to also talk about is that we don't do military or defense related products. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and we want to try to work with everybody to get to yes. But the things that we do are humanitarian aid and also counter narcotics related items. So those things are things that we get involved when we do those types of transactions. Also, on terms of things that are must in order to get our support is that your products must leave if they're a product from a U.S. port. And also we have what is called our U.S. content policy, as I mentioned, that 51% or more of whatever you make or the service that you offer has to be done or originated in the United States. Here's a couple QR codes that I wanted to offer. So we have our insurance broker locator. So this is a QR code that allows you to look at our listing of those in your local area that might be able to assist you with that. Also, I have the working capital delegated lenders list. So this is the list of banks that are in our network that can help assist you with that. And also there's the Regional Export Promotion Program, which I am one of the co-coordinators of. Essentially, our Regional Export Promotion Program, Lori from the Kansas Department of Commerce is one of them. Essentially, these are in-state partnerships all across the country that help us not only develop our pipeline of businesses to work with in international trade, but also, just as this webinar came together, it allows us to disseminate information outward via your local state counterparts that get information out into the community. So those are really great resources, and please stay plugged into each of those opportunities. Next, we have the different social media channels. We're on everything from LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagrams, Facebook, Truth Social, and also XM Blog. XM Blog is something that I want to highlight because, there's always posts that kind of detail our programs and different services, and kind of gives you a in and out of different things that are necessary in order to work with us, or different updates to different programs that we might be having. Last thing, I'll turn it over to questions. And from that point, Lori, thank you so much for the time and opportunity to talk with everyone here today.
Christopher, thank you. That was a lot of information, very fast, a lot of great information. I'm sure that some of our attendees have questions, so I want to give people a moment to digest what you shared and then ask questions. So we will be posting the webinar on our website for Kansas Department of Commerce. We will also be posting it through NASPAC. And then that looks like that was the first question that we had so far was about sharing it. Christopher, while people are thinking, I wanted to go back to something that you were
Sure,
talking about early on
sure.
when you were talking about direct export select.
Yes,
I
Direct
was
Express
wondering if,
Select.
oh,
Mhm.
direct express select.
Yep,
I was wondering if maybe we could go back to those couple of
sure,
slides and take a look at that
sure.
program again.
Certainly, certainly. There we go.
So um, I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate on what counts as community-based businesses.
Yeah, so we definitely want to help small businesses, anything that's SBA defined, but also with our Direct Express Select policy, we really want to focus on the underserved business community. So any, veteran-based, rural-based, um, different communities that might need or affected by disparities, we want to help bring them into exporting and assist them in that regard.
Okay. Um, so good. So that's helpful. And then when and these are presumably going to be new exporters
Right,
or,
correct.
okay,
And there is, typically one of the things that we look for in terms of operating history. We typically like to see 1 to 3 years with Direct Express Select because we're trying to get that on ramp into exporting. We're looking about 1 year in terms of
okay,
financial statements.
okay, great. And this is going to be for both manufacturers and service providers.
All industries,
Okay,
industry agnostic in terms of who we service, and also again, because I want to highlight services, services are also eligible for this policy as well.
okay, um, great. So I think we may have just covered the question about um, early. Oh, so I guess like maybe the question we might have like a little bit more question about um, what counts as qualifying metrics. So if you're looking at a rural business, for example,
Mhm.
that's been open for a little over a year and
Mhm.
has a year of financial statements. What are you looking for in terms of making decisions about whether they're going to qualify or not?
So we do have a team of underwriters that, evaluate all of the different factors of a business. But in general terms, 1 year financial statements, ensuring that they're revenue positive,
Mhm.
also, registered on sam.gov, which is, if you're doing business with the federal government, that's what's necessary in order to do business with us, so that you have a Dun and Bradstreet number and also a UEI through SAM, which is called a unique entity identifier. A UEI number is what we need in order to do business. And again, at least a year of those financial statements, so that we can evaluate different factors, whether depending on the different product that you're asking for from EXIM Bank. Those are the things that go into it.
Okay. And the company needs to be profitable.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that gave us time to get a number of other questions in the chat.
Mhm.
Um, could you provide an estimate of the insurance cost for exports with a value of $5,000?
Um, I would actually, if anybody would be comfortable, and I'll make sure to have my at the end of the slides. This is my personal information here. So if anybody wants to book an appointment or anything like that, we can do a consultation call and discuss the specifics of your individual business or any opportunity that you're trying to engage in, so we can talk about the different specifics of a policy.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, thank you. That's good
Hmm.
to have you available to talk with.
Hmm.
What are the differences between obtaining a loan for products with 51% content or 85% content?
I'm
Is
trying to
it
understand the question.
so? I think maybe the question might be like, when is there a 51% US content rule and when is it an
Sure.
85% content rule?
Sure. So it is a 51% US content requirement for both the working capital loan guarantee and also the export credit insurance. So the products that I covered here have that 51% or more content requirement. The only one that, there's any flexibility in that is the Make More in America initiative, which is onshoring manufacturing. If you have a manufacturing project that you're looking to do, that's where we, discuss flexibility in terms of that U.S. content requirement.
Okay, so there's not an 85%
Correct.
requirement. Okay,
Correct. Not for the export credit insurance or working capital loan guarantee.
okay.
Mhm.
And then I see that Alexander's got his hand up. Okay, I'll just keep reading questions out of the chat. Um, at what point do you require buyer documentation at policy issuance or when adding the buyer to the policy?
So during our application process is when we'll ask about, your buyers and different kind of specifics like that. But otherwise, if anybody wants to again have any further conversation about the specifics of taking out a policy with us, please feel free to schedule a consultation with me. This QR code, has my contact information as well as the slide, and I'd be happy to work that out with you specifically.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then we've got a question about payment guarantees, milestone payment guarantees for a customer in China.
Mhm. Um, say that one more time. I
Uh,
apologize. Yep.
so this might be something that you would do in a private consultation, but the question is whether you can help with milestone payment guarantees demanded by a Chinese customer.
I think that's something that we'd have to discuss in an individual consultation call.
Okay.
I'd be happy to take that, one offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then another question about how premiums are calculated and when they're due. Are there any general descriptions that you can give? I know some of that's going to depend on the individual deal, but are there like some general observations you can make about premiums?
Yeah, one thing that so on our website, and I'll try to share the link with you, Lori. There is a kind of calculator for premiums depending on the policy that you take out. But different policies have different uh, factors to them that go into that. So again, depending on whatever policy you decide to take out, happy to work that out, whether it be multi-buyer, single buyer. We have our Direct Express Select, whatever individual policy you choose, whatever lane you choose to go down, will have different calculations associated with them.
And then another question, what are the metrics for determining whether or not to provide support for specific countries under the CLS? For example, I see EXIM Bank does not provide support for Ghana, but it does for Senegal.
So many different factors go into that. We have internally a team of economic advisors that evaluate risk in different countries and essentially sets the standard for the entire U.S. government. So depending on different various political and economic factors, that's what goes into those decisions. So those things get set periodically. They also get reviewed periodically. And so it's a dynamic list. It's not, once and forever. Those things can change over time. But as of right now, the list is what it is. And, we'd be happy to, show the country limitation schedule at a future date.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
We've still got people coming in. Um, Let's see. And then we have someone who's asking about the advantages of getting the NASBITE CGBP certification. So and then NASBITE also offers a certified trainer um, um, credential, but the CGBP is designed to be a credential that demonstrates that individuals have competency in the main domain areas for international trade, management, marketing, logistics, and finance. And it's something that companies can encourage their employees to get to develop their bench strength in international trade. It's also something that employees can get in terms of professional development for either advancing in international trade within the company or for transitioning from one area over to international trade. It's something that students can get before graduation to try to show that they've got that knowledge of the practical side of trade. And so it's, you know, people coming out of college, people making career changes, people advancing their careers, people wanting to show that they have knowledge of the main domains, maybe not just one specific domain. It's an exam-based credential. How long it takes depends on how much prior experience you have and how much studying you need to do. But it's however long it takes you to get prepared to take the exam. And then we have information about it on our website, what the test windows are, how much it costs. I can share that in the chat, but I want to go back to the questions for Christopher. How do you address the added costs of doing business when exporting U.S. products subject to foreign tariffs?
truly, I wouldn't want to jump in front of anything that, there's a lot of changes happening, rapidly by the day. And so I wouldn't want to, uh, get ahead of anything that might be occurring with that. But what I would say is, please be in contact with, our different federal partners, U.S. Commercial Service, Small Business Administration, and all the different trade agencies that can help support you navigate the export process as you go through your sales. And we want to be a partner to you in that. And happy to connect with you in any type of form or way during a consultation call one-on-one.
Yeah. And now Spite also tries to provide some training for businesses on that to, help understanding where there are, opportunities for improved financial management that might help with some of the tariff situation. While people are continuing to digest the information and think about what questions they have, I think, Christopher, one of the themes that we're seeing in the questions coming up in the chat is that people seem to be wondering about what the process is like for working
Mhm.
with EXIM Bank and
Yeah,
what to expect before engaging with you and what to
sure.
expect in going through the process. So maybe you might talk a little bit about what things people should do to get their thoughts together,
Yeah,
collect their information and
yeah,
understand what they need to talk with you about before they meet with you,
sure,
what that meeting process is like, and then like
sure.
what to expect in working with XM.
Sure, sure. So, one thing that I would say is that take advantage of all the resources you have available. Kansas, if you're in the state of Kansas, you'd be working with Lori. There are many different state agencies, across all 50 United States that deal with international trade, that can help you develop an export readiness plan, that can help you get on board with your business, and make sure that you're in the best position in order to do international sales. First they'll help you work domestically and making sure that you're selling your strongest that you can within the United States before you step outside. But also, there are other resource partners that we work with, things like SBDC, which are the Small Business Development Centers. They also help business owners get everything in line in order to be the strongest that they can, business-wise. Also, another partner we have is called SCORE. They help business owners refine their ideas and their products and their pitches, to help them get ready to get into the sales mode that they need in order to be best positioned. But with the combination of those three resource partners, you should be able to be really, really cooking with gas in that type of scenario so that you're in best position to come to us. And once you do, again, my contact information is here. And available to you. You can schedule a consultation call with us, one-on-one talk where I just kind of get to learn the ins and outs of your business, what your product is, what your past experience exporting is, if you've actually engaged in international sales before or not, or if you're navigating it for the first time. What your needs might be in terms of whether or not you need access to capital in order to fulfill pending orders that you might have, or you have a customer on the line that, right now is dealing in cash in advance, but really they could take advantage of increasing their volume of sales from you if they had access to that export credit insurance, and if they were able to buy on open account terms as opposed to just cash in advance with you. So just depending on the situation that you find yourself in, those answers might vary, and we'll be able to work from there to get you an application towards either one of the products that I mentioned. And so we'll take you from start to finish and make sure that you're comfortable every step of the way going through that process.
Thank you, Christopher.
Mhm.
So really great advice for working with the local and regional resources for developing an export readiness plan and going through the financial statements and making sure that they have strong financials to bring to you. and then, doing the consultation with you. So we have a question uh, about, I know we've talked about perhaps doing some further training on this at another date. We have a question about whether you could talk some more about the Make More in America initiative, and then also the SCRI loans for critical mineral mining.
Sure, sure,
So
sure. Okay. Well,
I know
one,
that's outside XM 101.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, one, I don't want to spoil it too much because that's a teaser for our upcoming session that we'll have. But just to touch on it, we have the Make More in America initiative, which I discussed. It's our onshoring and manufacturing initiative where we finance projects. We issue financing for any type of things that are developing exports here in the United States. But the SCRI program, Supply Chain Resiliency Initiative, what that's all about is helping U.S. industry. So again, take for example, I'm from Detroit. So the automotive industry needs different inputs, different critical minerals, rare earths that go into the making of their products, which are cars. This is not case specific, but the idea is that various large industries in the United States, in order to keep the factories going, in order to keep the jobs going, we need critical inputs that go into the developing of those products. There are different other countries around the world that have restricted our access to those. And so this is our way of trying to make sure that we have what we need for U.S. industry. So the notion is that if there's a company that's working either on a mining project or a refinery project for processing said rare earths or minerals, we're interested in financing those as long as there's a signed offtake agreement that brings those minerals and those resources back to the United States. So that is kind of a teaser as to what that's all about. But I wanted to just offer that here in this session so that you have a little on-ramp into an explainer about what that is.
Yeah, thank you. And
Uh,
we are definitely looking forward to learning more about that
mhm,
at some date in the near future.
mhm.
And then another question is about what types of payment terms EXIM Bank offers.
Sure. So with the export credit insurance, that's the whole notion is that we offer those um, 30, 60, 90, up to 360 in some cases, depending on what your buyer situation looks like. We offer those credit terms so that your customer has a little bit more flexibility to pay you as opposed to paying, cash in advance. And for you as the seller, that should make you feel comfortable because any transaction that you go into with somebody overseas, you should know that you're going to get your money back regardless because the US government has your back for if that transaction falls through, and we come through up to 95% of that transaction. So that's what that looks like, and we want to make sure that you have that support going into your sales, and offer that flexibility to your customers.
Thank you. And while people are thinking, I'm going to toss another question in your direction,
Yeah,
Christopher.
sure, sure,
Uh,
sure, sure.
so I know that XM is often associated with supporting manufacturing across industries, and one of the points that you've wanted to make is that like some of the products are also available for service exporters. I was
Mhm.
wondering if you might like to share a couple of examples of types of service exporters that you work
Sure.
with, and whether there are any types of service exporters that just wouldn't really be necessarily be the right fits.
Sure, sure, sure. So, in the past, we've done things like we've worked with construction or engineering consulting firms, architecture services, those type of companies that have traditionally been our fit. So I don't want to close it off to anybody. Honestly, I think that it's a wide range of things that if we haven't gotten to you yet, we want to still engage you. So we'd like the opportunity to connect with you about a service opportunity that if long as you have a foreign client, we want to make sure that that opportunity is available to you. But historically, what we've worked with so far are, things like engineering and architectural consulting and those type of consulting firms that do overseas business.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And are there any requirements about like number of employees or increasing jobs, or is this are the products primarily going to be determined on the basis of increasing sales?
So those type of metrics would be more associated with the Make More in America initiative. And so, that's a specific project specific conversation that a whole team looks at when they are, working to issue the financing for that. But separately for the things, export credit insurance, working capital loan guarantee, those things are not a part of that conversation. And it's a little bit more direct and straightforward in that regard.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have a question about for a loan of say 5 to 10 million, do you have payment terms of more than a year?
So we do medium and long-term transactions. Typically the medium-term transactions look like 1 to 5 year tenors, up to seven, and we do 25 million or less in regards to those type of medium-term transactions. So that sounds like the ballpark in which the whoever is asking the question would be describing.
Okay, great. Well, does anybody else have questions for Christopher today? And I don't know, like, does anybody need to see any of the QR codes again before we close? So
Just
yeah, I know you had some QR codes on designated lenders and
oh,
insurance
there we go.
brokers, and
Yep.
so
Yep.
I thought people might just need to catch those again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Our insurance brokers, our delegated lenders, and also linked to our regional export promotion program partners such as Kansas Commerce and Lori.
Um, and Harry, in answer to your question about the webinar for the Make More in America initiative and Supply Chain Resiliency initiative, we're still working on getting that date set up, but we will post it on the NowSpite website, and you can also reach out to us at any time to ask for that. And then it looks like there's one more question, which are there minimums applicable to the export deals, like in
No, we
particular on an initial order?
no, we don't have minimums, and that's a point that I wanted to really make. Um, in our earlier conversation is that no company or transaction is too small for us. We've done sales as small as a few $1,000s and even less than that. So, there is no floor, so to speak, in terms of what we'll work with. We want to work with you. We want to work with your business. We're not just for the big guys. We help out everybody on Main Street as well. So, you know, let's work together and please contact me if anything is needed for this type of conversation.
Um, well, Christopher, thank you. This has been
Mhm.
really great information. I'm so happy to be able to share the information about the products and solutions that you
Mhm.
offer through EXIM Bank, and what you're doing to support small businesses. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up for today?
Well, Lori, I just want to thank you so much for having this opportunity to talk with everybody on the call today. Thank everybody for taking the time to attend and listen. And again, if anybody would like to connect, my information is at the end slide. I'm Chris McLean. I'm a business development specialist here with XM. Please reach out to me to set up a consultation call. And with that, have a lovely day and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Christopher. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Take care.